Saita Adisham Sarasatya Grihe Hare. The great sage Maitreya continued, "My dear Vidura, in this way, Parikshit, Maharaj Prithu, the conqueror of the entire world, accepted the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead on his head." Purport: one should accept the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by bowing down to the lotus feet of the Lord. This means that anything spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be taken as it is, with great care and attention, with great respect. It is not our business to amend the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or make additions or alterations. That has become custom for many so-called scholars and Swamis who comment on the words of Bhagavad Gita. Here the practical example of how to accept the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is shown by Prithu Maharaj. This is the way to receive knowledge of the Parampara system and of the purport. Vrindavane Ramanare Deva Siddhabhamo Tatra Krishna Balarama Sapada Malay Jnanam Parampara Krishna Siddharma Yuktam Dandasta Deva Prabhupada Namaste. There's generic verses for Govardhan. Namaste Girirajaya Shri Govardhana Namane Sesa Klesha Nashaya Paramanandayane. There's also some verses, two verses from Gopal Bhatta, from Narayan Bhatta Goswami's Brajariti. It's called Braja something. It's a book by Narayan Bhatta Goswami. And it says, Namaste Girirajaya. It says, Nanda Koparipalaka. It's interesting stuff. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govardhanataraya Cha Nama Govardhanadishaya Nanda Koparipalaka. It's interesting stuff. This is by Narayan Bhatta Goswami. And it's difficult to accept it, but it's there for those who wish it. Basically, the Supreme Lord says many things in the heart, and one should accept it as it is. And it's stated that the problem is that Krishna says many things in the heart. When's he going to do it? God knows when. Basically, he didn't say nothing. Same with Tulsi. Tulsi didn't say nothing. She said it's going to happen, but she didn't say when, because she wants you to think of her. That's all. And Krishna does the same thing, actually. Krishna's not going to tell you when he's going to do it, because he wants you to think of him. He does it all the time, you know. Just like, for example, just now, we made some Tulsi paste out of small sticks, because we couldn't find the big stick from Bali, the big Tulsi Chandan stick. It's a huge stick. In Bali, it's like 28 degrees centigrade to 31 degrees centigrade all year round. So Tulsi grows really big in 1 year flat. Huge. You know, this is the stem. This is basically a branch. The stem is bigger. The stem gets bigger. And the root is even bigger than that, you know, in 1 year flat. So I have a stick, a Tulsi stick from Bali that I took the bark off, because bark really makes the chandan splotchy. So if you take the bark off, then it looks better. It's interesting. It goes better. it grinds better, you know, and less splotchy. It's interesting stuff. And basically, that's the old, it was like 450 years ago. Of course you offer Tulsi to your deities. You know, what's wrong with you? It's like the in thing, you know, in thing to do, to offer Tulsi paste to your deities. You decorated the deities with Tulsi paste, of course. Of course you do that. Because just like, for example, Amla used to be, Amla Mala used to be part of the scene. It went off at Vogue. People are less psychic for it. Jiva Goswami says, and his Sandarbhas, that he saw Rupa Goswami wearing one. So it was the thing at that time. Nowadays, people are a little less psychic because of it. That's the benediction of having it, because if you have it, then whatever Krishna says in the heart will be understood. It's interesting stuff. So sometimes Krishna says many things in the heart, and we don't believe it, you know. But we shouldn't open our mouth, because the reason is because then Krishna will stop speaking. That's the thing. If you don't believe it, then Krishna will stop speaking in the heart. And that's not so good, you know. You need that. Everybody needs that, really. So basically, whatever Krishna says has to be accepted. What are you going to do? God knows when. You don't know when, because he wants you to think of him, that's all. It's stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 58, that if you think of it, times of difficulty will cross over all difficulties by my grace. So that's the idea. We should think of Krishna, and Krishna will do the rest. Basically, that's it. You think of Krishna, and Krishna does the rest. All right, we're done. We'll stop here. Basically, Prithu Maharaj spoken really good in the shloka, but we can't elaborate any further than that, you know. Whatever the Supreme Personality of Godhead has to be accepted on what's said. Yes, sir, we'll do it. Basically, that's it. So what Prithu Maharaj did is perfect. He's a Shakti Bhesh avatar, actually. He's a plenary portion of Krishna, actually. He's not just simply Shakti Bhesh avatar, he's a plenary portion of Krishna, you know. So, in the form of a king, he did work, just like it was described that Maharaj Vena was really wrong, was really a nonsense guy. But Prithu Maharaj, a plenary portion, when they churned the arm and the leg of Vena Maharaj, then the bad qualities of him came out that he got from his mother, the daughter of death personified. So he got the bad qualities came out as a black guy, Bahuka. And then when they churned the other arm and the other leg of Venu, then Prithu Maharaj came out with his wife, the goddess of fortune, with his queen, the goddess of fortune. So it was interesting that Prithu Maharaj came out of the body of Maharaj Vena, like that. It was good stuff. The Supreme Personality of Godhead helped Maharaj Vena out by appearing as his son. Pretty good. It's good. It's good news for us, basically, that there's hope on the horizon. Basically, it's good for us. There's hope on the horizon. If that happened in Marshburtu, then there's hope for us too. That's interesting stuff. There's hope. We should never give up, no matter what, because there's hope. There's hope as long as we can serve devotees, and as long as the devotees will chant the way. There's hope for us, you know. Interesting. There's hope for us. How can we serve the devotees?
Are you asking? Are you asking? Are you asking?
Yeah.
Or you're asking for questions?
Yeah.
I have a practical question.
Yeah.
You see on the altar there has appeared a picture of Tulsi there, but it's a little bit crowded up there. Would it be appropriate if Tulsi is on the same level with the Goswamis and the Guru Parampara?
Basically, Tulsi can go anywhere.
Mm.
You can put Tulsi anywhere.
Picture.
I asked Bhakti Purnamash, where in the Vastumandu would you put Tulsi Devi? And she said she's transcendental to the Vastumandu. You can put her anywhere.
Yeah.
Basically, she fits anywhere. It's interesting is that why they don't circumambulate Tulsi in front of the devotees. It's basically tradition. That's all. Is on the altar. Basically, she's there, and she sees everything like that. And once I didn't see her in San Francisco, I said, "Mother, where are you?" She said, "Well, I'm everywhere." And the temple says, "Hey, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to find out why Tulsi wasn't there for Mangalartik. I'll find out." But she said, "I'm everywhere." Well, I'm everywhere. Interesting stuff, you know. So you can put Tulsi anywhere, you know. If you want her, you can put her higher. Then
Technically, if you see the Parampara, they are all gopis, so Jesu gopis, so they are same level tattva-wise. Regarding tattva, there was the Parampara, they are all gopis, and Tulsi is also gopis, so they fit into the same tattva. Or
not everyone on the Parampara is a gopi.
But in our Parampara mostly.
Yeah, whatever. There's the Diksha Parampara, but not everyone is a gopi. It's interesting stuff. It's like Prabhupada was talking about Nikunja Yunoritikeli Siddhai. He said, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was a manjari. He spoke like that. He goes, not everybody is a manjari. So therefore, it doesn't apply to them. He said that's interesting stuff. Not everybody is a manjari. Not everybody's a gopi. So it doesn't apply to them. It's interesting stuff. Basically, you could put her anywhere. You know, she's everywhere. You can put her higher, put her lower. If you object to it, and you get everybody involved, and the president's involved, then you can change things, you know. It's interesting that there's the circle of concern, the circle of influence. So we can be concerned about so many things. What can you do about it? But if you can do something, then your circle of concern, of influence increases. That's the idea. The idea is don't rock the boat. But if you can change things, should do it. Peacefully change things, then you can do it. It's a practical question. Yeah.
In the fourth canto, there's the King's Vena story, and then Vena was starting to say that you stop worshipping demigods and you like accept me as supreme personality of Godhead. That his instruction, what he's saying to Brahmanas, are they like correct, or is like just demoniac mentality, or is there anything like good?
It's demoniac mentality. The Brahmanas accepted it at first, but later on they didn't accept it. They didn't like it. They didn't like what he said. Because the king is subordinate to the Brahmanas. Whatever the king says should be true, but he's subordinate to the Brahmanas. If the Brahmanas don't like it, they can remove him, and they did so. They did so. They removed him and they killed him really quick. They didn't like it. They didn't like what he said. But it was interesting is that when they turned the arm and the leg, that the sinful nature of Maharaj Vena came out and took the form of a black man. Sit down. What will you have me do? Sit down. The sages said, sit down. I sit down, sit down. And then they turned the other arm and the leg of Vena Maharaj, and out came Prithu Maharaj and his queen. It was a plenary portion of the personality of Godhead and the plenary portion of the goddess of fortune. Not bad. So there's hope for us. If Maharaj Vena, who was really sinful, got that, then there's hope for us. As long as we serve devotees, there's hope for us. Just like I stumbled accidentally on the shloka of Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antya Khanda chapter 3, verse 486, when Lord Gauranga is talking to his guru about the good fortune of Devananda Pandit, who got the service, and association of Vakreshwara Pandit. So the Sanskrit says, Siddhar Bhavati Vanetiya Sangsayara Chutu Sevinam. Will somebody become perfect or not? In the infallible service of Lord Achyuta, we may have a doubt. So the idea of it is that if you haven't seen somebody for a long time, your guess is as good as mine if they're doing spiritual practices. And then Lord Chaitanya continues in the second half of the verse. Nasangsayatstu tat bhakta pariteshu vitatmanam. If somebody develops attachment for serving devotees, don't doubt it. So Krishna will liberate them. Will benefit them and liberate them. So our benefit is to serve devotees and love devotees, and Lord Chaitanya will cover the bases. Just like I saw Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj just before he left his body, and about a month before. So I asked him this question: how do the renounced order, the devotees in the renounced order of life, manage things? And so about 5 renunciates leaned into here, and he goes, I was in West Africa, and then I went to North America. Before my body clock got used to North America, I was in Australia. Talk about bewilderment. He goes, yeah, that's what I want to hear. And he said, you may never figure it out. Well, then where's the justice? I said. The justice is you try to serve all the devotees, and Lord Chaitanya will cover the bases. That's interesting stuff. Covering the bases means Lord Chaitanya will preserve what they have and carry what they lack. As he says, promises in Bhagavad Gita, Teshan Nityabhayuktanam Yogakshemam Bahamyam. Somebody serves me with devotion, I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. So Krishna will do it. It's a question of when. That's all. Krishna will do it. And if we think about when, then it means he wants us to think of it a little bit more. That's all. To beg a little bit more. That's all. What's your question?
Maharaj, could you please explain difference between Mahadvadashi and Ekadashi?
See, there are 8 Mahadvadasis in a year. This is called Mahadvadashi. It's basically you follow Ekadashi on the Mahadvadashi. But there are 8 per year. The rest are Dwadasis. You don't follow Ekadashi on Dwadashi then. Those are ordinary Dwadasis. So, but there are 8 Mahadvadasis a year that happen in a calendar year. Then there's also Trishpursha Mahadvadashi. This is in Chaturmasya. It's really dear to Lord Hari. Touching 3, Trishpursha touching 3. You have Ekadashi, Dwadashi, and a slightly bit of Trayodasi. Just when the sun rises, just a slight bit of Trayodasi. And then that's called Trishpursha Mahadvadashi. Really dear to Lord Hari. It happens in Chaturmasya. It's really cool. It's glorified as it's really dear to Lord Hari. Trishpursha touching 3. It has Ekadasi, Dwadasi, and a touch of Trayodasi in it. It's really cool. It's really a neat day, you know. Trishpursha Mahadvadashi. One of the Mahadvadasis is Trishpursha touching 3. It's really cool. It's really a neat day. Something else? Yeah.
Thank you very much. What is a proper approach to Nam Prabhu? Proper approach to Nam Prabhu. In Chaitanya Charitamrita is a reference to that you have to pray to Nam Prabhu.
Oh, it really depends on the mood. The proper approach is whatever you want, basically. There's so many devotees that do so many things. They chant extra japa, they chant louder than the mind, they chant in front of Tulsi Devi, they chant stutis and stavas, glorifying the holy name. That's recommended by Satsuru Maharaj, that he would post slokas on the wall, glorifying the holy name, like that. So there's different approaches according to your position and according to your relationship. That's all. Something else? Yeah.
Maharaj, I didn't understand what that means that they churned the Venus legs. They churned Venus, King Venus legs, and then they came out. What that means that there is, according to that, there is hope for us.
Huh?
I didn't understand the words.
You didn't understand that hope, that there's hope that from turning of the Vena came Prita Maharaj and
Basically, it means that if the sinful activities were churned, the Bahuka came out, the sinful activities, and there's hope for us, meaning there's hope for us that by serving the Supreme Personality of God, its order, and serving and loving devotees, there's hope for us. That no matter how fallen we are, there's hope for us. The idea is that, well, if Prita Maharaj manifested from Maharaj Vena's good qualities, then there's hope for us. That's the idea, there's hope for us. It's cool. There's hope for us. Yeah. Everybody's better than some and worse than others, you know. There's a lot of good, the point is that by serving devotees, you develop all good qualities of the demigods. Sarvai gunai tata samasate sura. Haraba bhaktasya gato mahad gunan. But non-devotees have good qualities that are very slight. Manoratena asato davato bhai, because they're hovering on the mental platform. And surely they should be defeated by material energy. So there's hope for us. And otherwise, the karmas are not bad, but the karmas also get simple. Hey, I was talking about the Tulsi stick. About the big one that we found. Belatedly. Found it in the bag. Belatedly. That was a good stick. That's a good stick. And I got it for touching, because sometimes we don't have Tulsi. So it says that you can touch a Tulsi stick as an offering of Tulsi or invoke her name. So basically, we do that. We do that, and I was wondering, where in the heck is it? Basically, the Supreme Lord and Tulsi want you to think of them. That's why. That's why they take something away and give it back. They want you to think of them, that's all. Hey, what's your question?
I don't have a question right now. Maybe later in the evening.
Maybe later on. Okay, we'll stop
One
here.
question.
Yeah.
You mentioned this, some verse on Pisona Sagrada Thakur that he said
Yeah.
he's not a man, he's a Manjari. What was the translation for that verse?
The country Unorati Kele Siddhai. So in Guru Vastakam, Prabhupada said that he's a Manjari. He said if you're not a Manjari, it doesn't apply to you. Not all the Guru Parampara is Manjaris. Prabhupada certainly isn't. Basically, officially we don't know. Unofficially he's a coward boy. He said so himself. And that's really game changing. We can think of as much as you want, but if somebody says his religion, he didn't mention his name, he just mentioned he was a coward boy. He mentioned it twice.
When?
He mentioned it to Harsharani. Malati was quoting it in a Vyaspuj offering she wrote to Prabhupada. She quoted it, and she was talking about Harsharani. And so I asked her about it on Skype, and I said, do you have that? She goes, oh God, happened 50 years ago. Probably it's not even available right now. He goes, and who cares about it, you know? But it's interesting stuff that she quoted Harsharani, that Harsharani was saying that, oh Prabhupada, you were a cowboy. And he said, they weren't thinking of the Wild West at that time. That, because Prabhupada had 2 pistols, and he goes, yeah, I'm a coward boy. And then, so Malati asked, look, the sentimental rammings of a girl. And Prabhupada said, she's become a little advanced. Whatever she writes can be printed. The sentimental rammings of the girl, is there any truth to this? He goes, yeah, I am a coward boy. Prabhupada told Malati straight. It was basically in 68. Told her straight, yeah, I'm a coward boy. He didn't mention his rasa, he didn't mention his name. He mentioned he was a coward boy. That's cool. That's interesting stuff. Unofficially, we don't, officially we don't know. Unofficially, he's a coward boy. And he actually said it himself. We can think of it a lot, but when somebody says it with their own mouth, then that's the end of the argument. That's the end of the argument. We can think anything we like, but basically, when he says something with his own mouth, then that's the end of the argument. Yeah.
Maharaj, can you elaborate more on that? That devotees like Yamuna Mataji, she was referring that when she was walking behind the Prabhupada, she didn't saw any footprints of him. Even though on photograph you see some, like he's touching the ground, but devotees like who was on his morning walks, I was referring that like sometimes it's like there's no like steps after Prabhupada was walking. Footprints.
Just that
Yeah,
there was
Meaning that Srila Prabhupada was walking without touching the ground, like some of the Prabhupada disciples like mentioned that.
disciples had said that they didn't see any footprints after him when he was doing the morning walk. So, what is your comment on that?
I got no comment about that. It was interesting, Satsur Maharaj mentioned that he had his relative side also. Aside from his divine side, he had his relative side also. Interesting stuff. And I asked him one straight question. I said, did you ever feel something, did you ever say something that felt really foolish in front of Prabhupada? And then his disciples leaned in and he goes, I remember once it said, I asked Prabhupada in Tirupati that you're always quoting Chanakya Pandit. Is he a devotee? No, he's a Mayavadi. He said, I felt really small at that time, like about this high. No, Mayavadi. But he was Prabhupada was quoting Chanakya a lot because he was really smart in many respects. And also Chanakya Niti was used in the schools in India to give more moral grounding to the children. So Chanakya Niti Shastra was used a lot in schools, Indian schools, as a moral basis for the children. Hey, do you have your question?
Actually, how many cowherd boys, did Krishna have some, there were unlimited cowherd boyfriends to Krishna, or there were some special ones with their names?
See, Ayutthaya to Gopala Krishna Rama Dayosaka Tesham Guna Nahi Varna Yadam Shakyam Kalpakoti Shatarapi. It stated that in Govinda Vrindavanam, part of Brihad Gautamiya Tantra, about that Mahavishnu stated that Krishna and Balaram have unlimited numbers of cowherd boyfriends. Even if I had 1,000 mouths, I couldn't come to the end of glorifying them. I don't have the power to glorify them, even if I had 1,000 mouths. Kalpakoti Shatara. Even if I had 1,000 ages, Kalpakoti Shatara Pi. Koti means a million. Kalpakoti Shatar Shatar. 1,000 million. Basically 100 million years, 100 million ages to speak about them. I couldn't come to the end of their glories. He goes, so it's interesting. So there are many boys. At the same time, there are main boys. There's the Priyanarma Sakas. They have the best of both worlds. They serve the gopis and they joke with Krishna and Balaram. They serve Krishna and Balaram in the daytime, and they help Krishna's pastimes in the daytime. There's only two boys at night, Madhu Mangal and Subal. Other boys are not allowed at night in Nishan Lila. And then there's the Priya Sakas. Priya Sakas are like Sudama. And it's described that Sudama's turban is Tamrosha, basically copper-colored turban, and looks very close to Krishna. A little ruddy, a little like a tamal, but a little bit red in complexion, and has a yellow dhoti. And his relationship is beat the Mardak. I'll beat the chief in the sporting arena. I'll beat him today, like that. And Krishna likes to be beaten by Sridhama. And basically, when Sridhama comes, Krishna bumps close to Balaram to let Sridhama sit next to him. And Sridhama is that close. He sits really close to Krishna and Balaram. Once Sridhama was hearing Krishna glorify Visrambha Nandini, and Sridhama was unplussed. And so Krishna asked him, what do you think about Visrambha Nandini? He goes, she's my sister. She's not heavy, she's my sister. What am I supposed to say about my sister? She's my sister. And it was interesting stuff. So, and then it mentions that there are Surit Sakas, that are well-wishers. These are boys that are elder. Then there's Sadharanya Sakas, ordinary cowherd boys, like Stoka Krishna and others. They're ordinary. They're younger than Krishna, slightly younger. And Vijay, like that. Vijay is a little bit older, actually. There's Stoka Krishna, looks like a little Krishna. Stoka Krishna, he's younger, like that. They're younger. Mahabala, Varuntapa, Mandali Bhadra, they're big boys. They're Surit Sakas. Their friendship has little tinges of Vatsalya in it. They want to try to protect Krishna. They're part of Balarama's security. They try to protect Krishna in the forest. A little bit older. and some of them, like Balarama is included in the group of boys. Basically, although he's the personality of God, and although everyone emanates from Vrindavan, he serves Krishna and Balaram by acting as a servant. And basically, he serves Krishna and serves Krishna's devotees, like that. Balaram is really intimate in that sense. Basically, he does everything for the devotees. So these are groups. There's the Priya Narma Sakas, Surit Saka, and Sadharanya Sakas. Basically 3 groups of boys. Yeah. But the number of boys are Ayutayuta Gopala, Kesha Rama Dayo Saka, Tesham Guna, Nahi Varnadiyatam Shaktam, Kalpakoti Shadarapi. Mahavishnu says that even if I had 100 million yugas, I couldn't speak the glories of these boys or come to the end of it. It's interesting stuff. These are unlimited boys. The thing is that whatever relationship you want with Krishna, and Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 4, verse 19, Krishna's Kaviraj was quoting Krishna that whatever relationship my devotee hankers with me, I reciprocate accordingly, and that is my nature. So, Dinabandhu Baba says that the whole of Braj is like a lotus flower. At night it closes, in the daytime it opens. So when it opens, you can put as many cows and people that you need to. And when it closes, you can go from one place to another real quick. So it's interesting stuff. And opening and closing really quick.